hope guys you can see my screen.
Yes.
Visible.
Okay. Then we can continue. So today's project, I want us to do a small project. It's a reviews project. I have shared the HTML code for this and the CSS code in the WhatsApp group. So maybe you can download it. It's a zip file. You can unzip it and maybe you can continue together. So this one is a small review project. So how it works is that it has 3 buttons: the left button, right button, and a random button at the center. So what it does is that when you use the right button, it takes you to the next review, and when you use the left button, it takes you to the previous review. And then if you want to view a random review, you can use the random button. So when you use the random button, you view a random review. So in making this project, we are going to look at functions, what Kemboi taught, and then we are going to look at arrays. We are going to use an array, and objects, what was taught by Charity, and then DOM manipulation. We are going to use that. That was taught by Dennis, and then the other part I had done earlier. So I guess using this small project, we are going to touch on every single event we have had. So we are going to like touch on every part of what we have done before. So I have shared this starter code for the project. So maybe if you want to code along, you can download it in the WhatsApp group. I have shared it already. So we can start with the HTML code for the project. Here's the HTML code for the project. So you have a container, and then inside the container we have a header where we have the name, and then after that we have a small image. The image that we manipulated using the border radius, the circular image, and then you have a small paragraph there, and then after that you have the buttons. You have the left button, the random button, and the right button. So maybe we can start here by linking our JavaScript code there, our JavaScript file there, then let me show you the CS code for the project. So this is the CSS code for the project, how we manipulated it. I always urge you to use the Flexbox layout. I like using Flexbox layout because one thing, it is simple to use, and then another thing is that it helps you in using the child elements where. So this is the CSS code. Now maybe we can jump to the JavaScript code. So what we are going to do is that in the HTML code, you can see that we have one paragraph. So now we are going to manipulate such that this paragraph changes every time we click the right button, and anytime we press the left button. So this paragraph is going to change, and then the image is going to change, and the name.
David, before you continue, I can see Felix is raising his hand.
Okay, Felix, you can say something.
Okay, so for the code that you sent on WhatsApp, we are lacking images.
There are no images. Let me send them as up.
Okay, thank you.
I've sent the images Felix. They will be downloading in a few. So maybe we can continue. So the first thing I did is that I created an array, and then inside an array, I created objects. So you remember when Charity was teaching, she said that you use objects when you want to have a number of selectors and to have different properties. So for example, here we have the name, and then the image, which I have named as pic, and then the text, the paragraph. So in total we have, guess they were 9. No, they are 6. There are 6 objects. And then always remember to use the use strict. We said that it's a good coding practice to use the use strict in order to be able to debug the code easily. Because when you use the use strict, it easily shows you where the error is. Like it shows you the line with an error. So after that, I defined the variables that we're going to use. So I referred them from the HTML. First, we have the name variable there, and then the peak, and then the text, the button left, button right, and random, and the random button. So what we are going to do is that we are going to add event listeners to the 3 buttons. And then another thing is that we are going to create a function that is going to control the changing of the text, the image, and the name. So we can start by creating a variable here. And call it current. And then you remember that in arrays we start counting from 0. So we can do that. We create a variable named current, and then we give it a value of 0. And then we create a function that is going to work on changing the image, the text, the heading, and such. So we can call it maybe show review. Always remember to use the camel case when defining variables. So show review is a function, and then the show review, it uses the current. Then here inside we are going to use the name. So you can say that name So one thing is that we cannot use a name as a variable because it's a defined keyword in JavaScript. So maybe we can name it as num. And then maybe here in order to access the value of a property in an object, you remember we said that you either use a dot and the property, and then a dot to get the value, and then maybe you can also use the square bracket. So maybe we can use the dot to access it. So maybe we can create another variable here. Let's call it item, and then we say that const item equals to review, and then we use square brackets when we want to access an element. No, not an element. When we want to access an element at a certain index. So maybe we can say review, and then because the elements that are the objects that are at index 0, we assign it current because here we already assigned it the value of 0. So I can see there's a problem there. Before we continue, let me check it. So it's reviews, that's why it was showing an error. So that's one of the uses of the use strict, because it shows you when you have an error. And then in order to manipulate the properties, because you have said that item is the item is the element at that certain object, you can say that item dot, maybe if you want to get the name, that item dot name, the name that we assigned up there. In order to save time, maybe I can copy that code from somewhere. So this is going to save time. So what the code does is that the first one, the pic.source, it refers to the source. The source is used to link an image, is that it links that an image to item at that certain index. And then the pic is the name that we had used to define the variable. It's the name that we had used to define the variable here. So that refers to the class name that we had used in the HTML. So in the HTML, you can see here we had used class pic here. You can see that we had used class pic. So it's going to link that image there. And then the num.text content is that it's going to assign the content of that item.name to the variable we have defined as num. And then the text.content, the text content equals to item.text, is that it's going to assign the value of the property at that certain index, the index which is current, which we had assigned the value of 0 to that specific class, is going to assign the value there. So maybe now we can start manipulating the buttons. We can add the event listeners to the button. Maybe here I had defined the button right and the button left. Maybe we can start with the button right. Event listener. Then it's going to listen for a click event. And then after it listens for a click event, it performs a specific function. So before I continue, remember that I had assigned the current a value of 0. So assigning it a value of 0 is that it refers to the element at that certain index at index 0. And the item at index 0 is an object with different elements. So when we use the right button, is that it's going to increment. So incrementing is that it's going to move from index 0 to index 1 to index 2 to index 3 to index 4 and up to reviews.length, that is up to the last index, which we call the reviews.length minus 1. So maybe here we can work on the current, because it's going to increment. At first we had assigned it a value of 0, so we are going to assign it current equals to current plus 1. But in the first event, there is a shortcut of this one that I said that instead of writing all that code, you can just say current plus equals to equals to 1. So what this does is that it says that current equals to current plus 1. And then it's going to check for a specific condition. If it adds to the Rust index, what shall it do? What should it do? So it's going to follow this specific condition that if current is to reviews dot trend minus 1. So if it reaches to the Rust index number 7, that's index number 5, what it should do is that it should start again from index at element 0. And then here you call the function that we had done, the function show review. So if that condition does not pass, or it passes, then it should call this function the show review. So we can check if it's working. So it's not working. So maybe we can check for an error in our code.
There's no.
Yes.
Okay. Not expert. Anyways,
Yes, somewhere.
One pop 5 MB.
Somewhere I can hear you speaking.
Sorry.
Okay. So what this condition should check is that if it reaches to a value which is greater than our array length. So we should check if that works, then we can continue. Maybe let's do the wrong process. So let's check if that works. So let's check where we are encountering an error. I'm sorry, guys. The error was in our condition. We had assigned that when the condition current is greater than reviews.trend minus 1, instead of when the condition is greater than reviews.trend. So maybe we can check if now it works. So guys, you can help me in checking for the error. If you see the error, you can just unmute and tell us.
I think the error is on the show review functionality.
Hmm? Okay, then maybe you can tell me so that we can debug it together, or maybe we can solve the error together.
You know, the code could be readable if maybe if you can separate the functions from attaching the functions directly to the add
Oh,
right button.
okay. I'm getting you.
So for my case, I see the button right can be. I think it's okay. Maybe the structure is okay. Maybe
Yeah.
we have a problem with the show reviews functionality
The
function.
show review.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
whereby you are instantiating the item itself.
Okay, let's check on that. Mm-hmm. Let me check on the code I had earlier done, so that it can help us maybe in order to save time. Oh, I know where the error is. It's a simple error, and because I have known where the error is,
Yeah.
I would like you to suggest where the error is. So, you remember when we said about when defining variables, we said that const is immutable. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So meaning that you can't change the value. So that's why it was not working. So we should define it maybe using red.
Yeah.
So maybe now we can check on a project. So now it's working. I hope guys you have noted that error. So those are some of the common errors that you can face while maybe building a complex project, and then you spend the whole night trying to debug, only to realize that you used the wrong way to define a variable. So after that, now working on the other button is easier. So we are going to add an event listener, and then it's going to reason for a click event. And then after it reasons for that, it performs a function. So maybe one of you can give me a suggestion, because we have done the one for right. We said that the one for right we were incrementing the possession of the index. So we said that first it was going to give the value of the properties in the first index, and then we said after that it increments to the second, to the values of the properties in the second index up to the one in the last index, that is reviews dot length minus 1. So maybe one of you can give me a suggestion on how we are going to do the button there, because it's easier. So if you have a suggestion, maybe you can unmute.
So you decrement the current value of the reviews length.
Sure. So now here we are going to say that current equals to current minus 1. And then Felix, you can give me the condition for this one. So for the first one, we said it was going up to reviews dot length, and
Yeah.
then now for this one, it's going to decrement up to the beginning of the index. So if it reaches to the beginning of the index, it starts again from the end. So Felix, you can give me the condition that I'm going to write inside here.
If so we are decrementing from.
Yeah. So if current
is less than.
Less than.
Yeah, should be.
Are you going to use less than here? Remember at the first one, in the first one,
Yeah.
we used that current, we used the current value to be 0. So what you are going to do to this one is that we are going to say that if current equals to 0, if it decrements up to 0, then it should start again from the arrays.trend minus 1. Current equals to previous.trend minus 1. And then we call our function here a function show review. Check on that, see if it works. It's not working. So I guess our problem is there because current we had assigned it a value of 0, and we should use the 3 equal signs to mean that the current and equal, they are of the same data type. So maybe we can check now if it works. Yeah, you can see that the button is working now. So now we are going to work on the random button. So working on the random button is the easiest, but now we are going to introduce a new concept for working with arithmetic operators. So it's random dot add event listener. Then it's going to reason for a quick event. Then after that, it performs a function. So maybe instead of that, maybe we can use an arrow function here, because we are used to using the normal function. So maybe today we should use a different type of functions, and then next time we are going to use the other type of functions. So the reason I have decided to use the arrow functions is that because while running the React, no, I mean the JavaScript frameworks like React, you mostly use the arrow functions. So it's better to get used to them now, so that at that time you cannot have any issue using them. So it's going to listen for a quick event. Then after it listens for a quick event, it's going to perform a function. So current, we want to assign current a random number. So to do that, we use the math.random. Math.random, and then this math.random, you multiply by our reviews.trend. Our reviews.trend, yeah, you multiply by our reviews.trend, and then because this value is going to be in decimal, you need to truncate it. So to truncate it, you put it in the brackets, and then you use the math.trunc method. And then because when you do this, it's going to give you a value like, for example, our reviews.trend was 6. So the math.random it gives you a value between 0 to 1. So that is it gives you a random value like 0.1, 0.2, 0.77, 0.88, 0.99. So if it gives you a value like 0.99 something, and then you multiply by 6 and then you truncate it, you see it's going to give you a value like 5. And we know that we have 6 elements because our reviews.trend is 6. So in order to cover the other one, you need to add a 1 there to the truncated value. So this one is going to give you a value of 6. So you give it that value. And then after that, we call our show review. So here we are not going to use any condition because the values are between, because it's going to call a value between 0 and array.length. So maybe we can check on that. I'm sorry for that. So you can see that it's giving you a random review. It's not following a specific order like when you're using the right button or the review button, or the left button, I mean, because when you use the left, you see it's following that order from, maybe you can use the left button to test it. It's from Shiro, and then let me refresh it. So when you refresh the page, at first it's at index 0. So when you press the right button, it takes you to index 1. It gives you the contents at index 1. But you can see the name is Kimsha, and then Munyiri. So this should be the name at the index number 2. And then Abubakar should be at index number 3. So we can check if it's following that order from our array, the objects in our array. So it's following that order: Shiro, Kimsha, Muniri, Abubakar, and so on. And then the random one, it gives a random review. So guys, I'm done with my sport project. Maybe if you have a question, you can ask, because today we wanted to cover like 2 projects. Felix, you can ask the question.
Yeah, so you can take me back to that previous, the last code you wrote.
The first
Part of the code that you wrote.
Okay. Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, so for the add event listener,
Yeah.
you could maybe do a console.log before the show review so that you can see the value of the current.
Oh. There, guys, we use console.log when we are testing our code. Maybe when we are working with the DOM, and maybe if you're not seeing what you're doing, you use it in order to see if the code is working, or to know if the problem is in the function. So there it is. Now you can check on that. So I've pressed the random button once. So let's inspect it. So you can see, I hope you can see it, Felix.
Yeah, 5.
So it's at 5, and then when you press the random button, it gives you a random value 2. And then when you press it again, it gives you a random value 3, a random value 1, 3, 6. You can see that it's not following a specific order. Yes, Felix?
Okay, so let's go back to the code.
Yeah.
So maybe I was having a different idea.
But that was a nice question, because we have touched on how to test code. So now maybe we can check on another button. So let's copy the console.log and put it in the button left. So we expect that the button left, it was following an order, is it? So the button left was decrementing. So we should see if it decrements from one value to the other. So before we reach that, maybe So let's inspect this code. So maybe first let's go to like index number, like maybe this is index number 5. So let's test the left button. Don't know why that's not working. Maybe I've inserted the console.log at the wrong position.
It will be inside the function.
Let
Should
me
be
show
inside.
you. Yeah?
Should be inside the function itself.
Yeah. Maybe it's there. And let's test our code now.
Still inside the function, I think.
Yes, Felix?
Inside the function, the if after the if current. Inside after the current equals to reduce the
yeah. You are correct. You are right. No, I don't think it should be there. Because that one, the if else condition, Felix, that's used to check a condition. So I don't think it should be there. I think it should be here where I press it. So let's first test the code and see how it works. So we can first scroll up to a certain index like that one. Now let's see the functionality. You're having an error. It says that uncaught error cannot read properties of undefined. So reading peak.
That's line 52.
Yeah, let's check on that. I don't think there's a problem with that one. Because that one we are giving the ring. We are referring to the image at that certain index, because we said that item equals to reviews at that certain index, at index current. So that one is used to give give the source path of that image to the peak variable. So Felix, what you are going to do is that before the end of the event, you are going to check on that so that we can save time, so that Brian Kimboy can continue.
There's someone who addressed the question.
Okay, ChatKid. ChatKid, you can continue. ChatKid, you can continue. ChatKid, I can see that your mic is on, but I can't hear you. So maybe Brian, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. Maybe confirm, maybe if you can hear me very well, like clearly.
Yeah,
Hello?
we can. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have almost 15 minutes before time elapse. Maybe we had a proposal of because I think the project that I have will take us a maximum of almost 45 minutes, and that's the thing that we never wanted to maybe take our attendees for maybe more than 2 hours to maybe do a project. So basically thinking of is maybe to show what the project will entail.
Okay.
Then maybe we do some of the functionalities because we were discussing maybe in the group and WhatsApp, okay, how maybe we can tackle this because we are checking that maybe next week we are having examinations. So maybe our attendees can maybe tell us if they will be available tomorrow so that we can have our session in the evening, maybe to conclude on the project, so that I can just deal with some of the functionalities and maybe what the project will be. So yeah, I think that will be a forum whereby they'll be able to share with us if they shall be available tomorrow. Yeah, we can maybe complete the project so that next week we can have another 2 projects from Dennis charity.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Brian. Maybe we can do the functionalities or maybe touch a little bit of your project, and then tomorrow maybe at the evening we can maybe even have a event of even about maybe 1 hour or rest, maybe like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then next week we can have other 2 projects from Dennis and Charity, and then after that we can continue to running more on the course, and then maybe after that we'll know the next thing.
Okay,
So
so
maybe we can hear from the attendees. They can say what they feel about that.
okay, I think they can type on the chat and see charity is given maybe they type yes or no, or we can also